Welcome to Out of the World, and you're still joining our world trip as we are in Asia. You saw us in Thailand and you saw us in Indonesia, and now we are in Vietnam. This is the capital, Hanoi, and we're going to travel the north of Vietnam for the coming weeks. Let's go!
Previously, you saw these highlights of Southeast Asia. And from Bali, we flew to Hanoi.
So I'm standing here on the balcony of our lovely little hotel right in the Old French Quarter, which is the best place in Hanoi to stay because of all the colonial buildings and the nice restaurants and bars. It's still the three of us, but tomorrow my best friend is coming over from the Netherlands, so together we're gonna explore Hanoi and a big part of Vietnam for the next 2 weeks. I'm excited. Welcome to Vietnam, baby.
And there is Randy.
The city of Hanoi has been the capital of Vietnam for 1,000 years, but it wasn't until 1831 that the emperor called the city Hanoi. It literally means between the river, and it's named after the river the Sông Hồng. It was occupied by the French between 1877 and 1954, and you can still see some French influences in the street here.
Besides the railways and the architecture, the cuisine is also influenced by the French.
In the heart of the old city of Hanoi you will find a lot of old buildings, but apart from that life seems to have modernized. It's not completely true because there used to be 36 streets, all with their own craftsmanships, and this is still the same. So in one street you will only find like iron, and another street only has herbs and spices. All the shops have their own street.
How bizarre! There are even streets with only gift packaging, and even scotch tape.
Oh guys, we slept in this morning, had a lovely breakfast with a baguette and a croissant, and now it's time to discover the city of Hanoi. And how can we do this better in the busy streets than on the bicycle? It's time for a cycling tour of Friends Travel Vietnam.
With a super nice group and a good dose of guts, we venture into the traffic of Hanoi.
At first I thought the traffic was pretty dangerous, but once you get used to it, it seems to have this like natural flow and everybody's just moving around each other quite easily. So no danger at all, and it's quite fun. Our first stop that you wouldn't find yourself because it's behind this little alley on the streets is a 400-year-old pagoda of the Lady of the Stone.
When the city walls of Hanoi were being built, there was a stone that resembled a woman. This was taken as a sign and they named the temple after the stone lady, Pa Da in Vietnamese. The St. Joseph's Cathedral, built in 1886, is another perfect example of the French architecture, almost a Notre Dame. When we cycle a bit outside the city center, we see where the richer Vietnamese live quite okay.
Our next stop is the best stop because we're getting ice cream here at the West Lake.
And after that we cycle to one of the most famous buildings of the city.
Our next stop is the Lombin Bridge, and it was designed by the same guy who invented the Eiffel Tower. So they also call this the laying down Eiffel Tower. And there's a lot of traffic on this bridge, as you can see. I found a much quieter place here on the bridge, because in the middle on the train tracks is nobody. Ah guys, I almost forgot what quiet sounds like, but it's so quiet over here between the banana leaves, and we're on our way to Risky Village, whatever that may be.
Risky Village seems to be the nickname of this place, but why?
So we found out what Risky Village means. Some people are too poor to live in Hanoi and they go out here to build a new life, work on the banana plantations, and they live in these floating houses here in a swamp area. So it's kind of risky to become one of those people because you never get back.
After a beautiful sunset and a Vietnamese yogurt specialty, we settle down in the world-famous Beer Street. We also get to enjoy the beautiful views at the Sky Bars, and it gets pretty late as we explore the nightlife.
Today we make a little stroll through Hanoi again, and when you leave the old quarter you will immediately find yourself at Hoan Kiem Lake, which is a very important place for both the tourists and the locals to get away from the hustle and bustle for a while. The lake was actually named after a sword that was given to the emperor by a dragon and now kept in the lake by a turtle. Leave it up to the Vietnamese to find a ridiculously beautiful story behind everything.
Between the calm lake and the destination of our walk, there could not be a greater contrast.
Today we pay a visit to the Hao Lo prison, and you have to have a strong stomach for that because you will feel nauseous after leaving this place. It was called Maison Centrale back in the days when the French oppression was here. They captured, tortured and crammed the people up together in this prison when they started revolutions or riots. After this, it was also used by the Vietnamese in the Vietnam War to capture American soldiers. So, a lot of history here.
The Maison Centrale used to be the largest prison in Southeast Asia. Only a small part of the prison has been preserved in the museum. Many Vietnamese resistance fighters were killed in this typically French guillotine and were horribly displayed as a warning to others.
You can actually go inside the cells and see what it's like to be a prisoner here. It's very dark and it's very small, and you have to imagine that your feet are tied up as well. Wow, so creepy.
But like I said, there is more history.
A funny thing, when you get upstairs, you will find that the prisoners during the Vietnam War against America were treated so much better than in the French time that they actually called this the Hanoi Hilton, because they celebrated Christmas, did games and everything. They had a fun time here.
The Hanoi Hilton's most famous guest was Vice President John McCain. Tonight it's time for a street food tour through Hanoi.
We also make the food tour with Friends Travel Vietnam.
And we start with a dry beef salad. And there's a whole lot more to come, so here are all the dishes. And quite logically, with the Vietnamese street food, the dishes are also done on the streets. We finished the tour at the place where the famous Vietnamese egg coffee was invented, and we can really recommend it. So sweet.
We're going to travel on through Vietnam and see many more cool things, like mystical temples on high rocks, rice fields and wonders of the world. A quick beer after the cycling tour in Hanoi turned into a few beers, and those turned into a lot of beers, and we made it pretty late last night. But I'm standing now on our balcony in Sapa, because this morning we woke up at 7 and we drove about 5 hours to the beautiful mountain landscape in northern Vietnam. I'm going to show you the room. This is Eden Boutique Hotel. A very good morning, guys. We slept like babies, the four of us, because it's more quiet here than it is in Hanoi, of course. So after a good night's rest, it's time to start our trekking. We had some breakfast and we're going to two villages called Ma Tra and Ta Phin. And the weather is great because it's not raining, which is always good in Sapa.
The town of Sapa is located almost on the border of Vietnam and China and looks a bit like a winter sports village in the Alps. Such cozy little streets.
The first part of our walk, we crossed this beautiful lake here in Sapa town. And what I know about Sapa is that there only live about 50,000 people in and around this town in all the villages combined. And these people are very special because they came from China a long time ago, but they are from 5 different tribes. They all have their own languages, their own culture, their own traditions and their own clothing. So they see amongst each other who is from which tribe, but they all live together in this little continent inside of Vietnam. That's what you can call it.
Our guide Su Mei belongs to the Red Dao tribe, and you can see that in her traditional clothing with her red headscarf.
It's really funny that when you take a side road from town, you're all of a sudden standing in this environment. Really different is the countryside, and outside of the town the people are a little bit poorer. They are not as westernized as in the town where they live off the tourism. So we're gonna see really, really local stuff. We're getting closer to the middle of nowhere. We're way out of town and these are the streets over here. How awesome.
The rice terraces in Sapa were recently named the most beautiful in the world by Travel and Leisure magazine. The rice grown here is not exported but only used by the local population.
We walked about 2 hours from town and we ended up in this beautiful location. Between the rice paddies all around us, and they are so beautiful. It's like going back in time or to another planet. There were some kids running around and we gave them some candy and they almost fought over it, so happy with it. Luckily we had enough. But this place, guys, it's amazing. So we arrived at the place where we're gonna have lunch. It's called Tafin, and it was the place that we're walking towards all the time. And this is one amazing view, guys. It's still a little bit foggy, but this is also part of Sapa. It's like this 80% of the time, so we have to deal with it. Amazing view.
Time for lunch and a beautiful view where I also take a look with the drone for the first time. Suze and Jens take a motorbike here and we walk a lot further. We see how the locals grow cabbage, spinach and cauliflower in addition to rice. And a little something called marijuana. And it's the women who work the hardest here.
So this is the most spooky part of our walk today, the bamboo forest. But with the fog around it, it's really mystical. So we're in Tam Coc village and this is where we're gonna sleep in the homestay, and this is about as local as it gets because we are the only white people here on the moment. And well, this is really something.
And then we arrive at our homestay for the night. And I think we deserve this cold brewski.
Wow guys, I'm so curious about what we're gonna eat here in this traditional northern Vietnamese kitchen, of course. So the fire is over there and the food smells delicious.
What an experience to stay here at a local family's house. Time for some happy water. We love that, right, Suze?
Guys, this is a traditional northern Vietnamese herbal bath. Our own little spa. There's 19 different herbs and spices, just like at KFC.
How relaxing is this, guys?
Wow guys, we had such a lovely day. The trekking was great, the food was awesome, and this herbal bath at the end was sublime. So nothing to do but sleep tonight because we have the sounds of the crickets and that's about it. There's no Wi-Fi here, so see you guys tomorrow for new trekking. Sleep tight.
Good night.
It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. No, it's not, unfortunately.
We have breakfast with delicious pancakes and leave early.
It's a lovely new day guys, and the sun isn't shining, but it's a little bit warmer. The sky is a little bit better. No more fog today. So we're gonna visit two villages and they're called Mong Seng and Chung Chai. And well, a couple of hours of walking and a beautiful surrounding again.
These water buffaloes used to work on the land, but now they have been replaced by machines. What mighty beasts!
Today the hike is quite heavy, but the scenery is amazing. Jens is a little bit done with it, so the motorbike is gonna pick him up again. But this view guys, this landscape, so many rice paddies around us. We're almost at the end of our 2-day trekking, and this valley behind me is the most beautiful view we're gonna get. We're looking out over the valley at Mong Seng. So I've been here once before in 2016, and including yesterday I had 4 days of rain in Sapa. With the mountain bike back then, walking yesterday, and now the sun is finally here, and I can honestly say with this view, Sapa, check. It's amazing here.
As a reward for a long hike, we get the tastiest pho bo in Vietnam. Noodle soup with beef.
So good.
Hey, there is Pikachu! And just like us, it's returning to Sapa City, where we say goodbye to this beautiful area. I'll take you to a world wonder and even more beauty in northern Vietnam.
This is one of the 7 nature wonders of the world, and it's Halong Bay. For our tour in the Halong Bay, we chose Friends Travel Vietnam. After about a 2-hour drive, we arrive at Halong Bay. This is the first glimpse, but it's only the ferry at Cat Ba. Cat Ba is an island, and we go to the other side of this island to see the beautiful landscapes of the Halong Bay. Iced coffee.
During the real Halong Bay experience, we'll be on the road for 3 days and 2 nights, with our main goal avoiding the most crowded and touristy places.
After a short drive of about half an hour on Cat Ba Island, we arrive at the Halong Bay. And this behind me is our transportation and hotel in one, because we're going on that boat.
It may be clear that this natural wonder is the most popular destination in Vietnam. But why is that?
The Halong Bay is a beautiful bluish-green bay about 200 kilometers away from Hanoi. It contains over 3,000 little islands made up of karst mountains. And in 2007 it was voted as one of the 7 nature wonders in the world. And the name Halong Bay means Bay of the Diving Dragon, because the legend goes that it was all created when the dragon dove into the water.
Once on board, we start with a fantastic lunch, with a lot of seafood from this region. What a feast!
So let me show you guys the room where we're staying during our trip in Halong Bay. The view outside the window is perfect with Halong Bay, but the inside of the room isn't too bad either.
Time to take a look at those 3,000 islands with the drone. Looks like there's plenty of room here because there's no one else there.
We're going to discover Halong Bay in the kayak. This is the first activity, and this bay stretches about 120 kilometers along the coast, so there's always a hidden gem to be found in this maze of islands.
Kayaking here is a bucket list experience. We do not only sail between the gigantic rocks, but also straight through them. We also visited the other natural wonders: the Amazon, Jeju Island, Iguazu, Komodo, the Table Mountain and Palawan. But still, this remains one of my favorites. We'll toast to that, guys. And during a party on the deck, we also do some boat jumping. Pretty scary, this. We swim to the beaches and wait for the spectacular sunset.
What a lovely first day in the Halong Bay, guys. And the spectacle for the night is not over yet, because after the sunset we're gonna have a cooking class and learn how to make Vietnamese spring rolls. Oh yeah!
Those rice paper spring rolls are so good. And after dinner we take the roof of this place with the best singers in Vietnam.
Last night we made it pretty late on this rooftop with a sunset party and some karaoke. And then we woke up to this amazing view. I slept like a baby on the water, it was perfect. And today we're gonna have a nice day again, go to Cat Ba Island, and I can get used to this view, guys.
Through a spectacular gorge we sailed to the starting point of our cycling tour.
You would never expect this, guys, to make a little cycle tour on Halong Bay, but we pick up our bikes here at one of the islands and we're going for a tour of 2 hours, so
During the bike ride on Cat Ba Island you combine nature with local culture and a Dr. Fish massage.
on the island of Cat Ba there's only one reasonable city and it's called Cat Ba Town. It's where we took the boat yesterday to explore Halong Bay. And now on the second day we cycled towards the center of the island, and this is the little village called Viet Hai. There's only about 300 people living here, about 80 houses, and we're staying in one of them at a family's home called Lan Homestay, between the beautiful surroundings of the mountains.
This local family cooks delicious food for us. What a great place this is, away from the hustle and bustle of the big city of Hanoi. Just imagine living out here. And right over there is the bay.
This was Halong Bay, and for the last time we have our breakfast here in the homestay. We're gonna travel across the Halong Bay again to go back to the mainland, and in the next episode you will see us in Ninh Binh, another great part of Vietnam. See you there.
We enjoy the view for one last time and then visit the most sacred area full of temples and Buddhas. And now we are in Tam Coc, a cozy village in Ninh Binh.
We had a really good night's rest, guys, and today it's time to discover a bit of Ninh Binh. Ninh Binh is a big area with some super nice religious attractions, and we're going to the biggest one of all today.
As I said, there are many sacred places in Ninh Binh, mainly of Buddhism. This entire area looks like a movie set, so mystical and impressive.
Today we pay a visit to the biggest temple complex of Ninh Binh, called Bai Dinh. It's the biggest temple complex in all of Southeast Asia as well, with 539 hectares. And also, it's built in the middle of nature, has over 500 Buddha statues and dozens of temples. And this makes it also one of the most popular places of pilgrimage for the Vietnamese people themselves. When they built this temple complex in 2003, they really delivered. It's not just the biggest temple complex, they also have some other records. And inside this building is the biggest bronze Buddha statue in all of Asia. And from the outside, it's beautifully made of gold.
Because Bai Dinh is so big, I recommend you to take a guide and this relaxing golf cart with you everywhere.
We now go to the biggest temple of the complex, and this one has 3 Buddha statues. They are from the past, the present and the future Buddha. So we're at the highest stupa of the complex and we're gonna climb it. It's 100 meters tall and about 30 floors. But there's one advantage, that is built in 2003 because it has an elevator. And that's really easy for us right now. Even though there is some fog in the air, I think this is still a pretty great view, guys, from the big stupa.
This gigantic stupa is the literal highlight of our day. And from up here we can see how big the Bai Dinh complex is in every way.
We're already at the last stop of the day. In this super huge complex, this is the bell tower. And they got another record here because they have the biggest bell and drum in all of Vietnam.
Time to drive back to Tam Coc, where the water buffaloes roam the streets like pigeons. You have so many dining options, and certainly not just Vietnamese.
At night there's no reason to be bored in Tam Coc because there's always a party going on one of the bus bars. You're really partying on top of the roof.
We're taking the roof off this place. And if we jump on like this, you could take this quite literally.
It's a beautiful sunny day, and that's the reason we're on bicycles. We're gonna make a little cycle trip towards the most beautiful viewpoint of the entire area of Tam Coc.
This place between the rice paddies lends itself to the most beautiful bike ride in all of Vietnam.
After a bike ride of only 20 minutes, we arrive at the beautiful karst mountains behind me. We leave the bike here and we go further on the steps, walking up these hills. And if you want to pay for parking, you can. It's 5,000 dongs, but there are also many free parking spots. So let's go up and see the view.
This hike up the mountain offers amazing 360 views of the surrounding area, with mountains, rice paddies and pagodas on all sides. You will never see more Vietnam than in this place.
It took us a little bit more than 15 minutes to reach the top of Hang Mua. And this is the lying dragon on top, the dragon after which the mountain is named. And this is the view.
I keep on falling for you. Such a beautiful lie. When I still want you closer, I ain't longing for closure, and I'm wondering why. No matter what I do, I keep on falling for you.
And as a reward, we get to walk 500 more steps down to the foot of the mountain again to pick up our bikes. We go back to the hotel and then it's off to the next highlight. Of course, we have to make a boat ride in the middle of the view we just got here in the Karst Mountains.
But with this weather, a quick dip in the pool is also a must-do. We stuff ourselves with a banh mi and move on quickly.
Just outside of our hotel, we board this little vessel that's just big enough for the 2.5 of us. And we're gonna make a boat ride of 1.5 hours through the most beautiful area of Ninh Binh, guys.
Such a beautiful lie. When I still want you closer.
Ninh Binh is sometimes referred to as the Halong Bay on land, and it could have easily been a world wonder too. These views are bizarre.
I keep on falling for you.
Today we choose Indian cuisine and we enjoy Tam Coc again.
It's a beautiful new day in Ninh Binh and there are so many lovely things to see in the neighborhood that you'll see that in 15 minutes with the bike I'm at a new highlight. Just outside of Tam Coc you will find a pagoda called Bich Dong. It's actually 3 of them and they are in the mountains of Truong Yen. It's just a 15-minute bike ride as I told you before. I'm going inside and I'm gonna see 3 of them. The oldest ones are 600 years old. There's a lower one, a middle one, and an upper one, and I'm gonna check them out. My morning walk at Bich Dong is pretty special because when I entered the first gate I immediately saw the first pagoda, the lower pagoda. From there it took me about 100 stone steps to the second one, which is the middle pagoda behind me inside a cave. And when I enter the cave I will walk a bit through the dark and exit the same cave at another level to see the top pagoda with a perfect view. So the walk itself is already pretty amazing. So this was the middle pagoda and I'm going into the cave right here. The walk through the cave is only about 5 minutes, but it really has that creepy Tomb Raider kind of vibe.
Bich Dong is a beautiful and typical ending to this amazing cultural highlight of North Vietnam.
That's it guys for today's episode. Unfortunately, it's also time to leave Vietnam. Not for good because of course we'll be back, but I'm gonna return my bike, take a bus to Hanoi, and from there we're going to fly to the next adventure, which is Malaysia. See you there.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Ciao!